Hello, I'm Fontaine. Welcome to the weekend edition of National Focus. Topping the headlines, Prime Minister Skerritt discusses the role of the value-added tax in Dominica's development. President of the Dominica State College assures parents that the DSC is the right choice for their children. And Minister for National Security says unemployment is no excuse for crime. Stay tuned as we bring you the details of these stories and more when National Focus returns. Welcome back. Time now for the details of the news. Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt, has announced that removing the value-added tax would be an irresponsible move that would cause serious damage to the country's economy. Speaking at the commissioning of the new Bruce water storage tank on Tuesday, the Honorable Prime Minister advised advocates for VAT removal that they should abandon that cause.
I want to say to those who continue to make calls, that is to say certain groups and individuals who continue to make calls in the government for the removal of VAT or exemptions of VAT, should not pursue that call if they are really interested in the well-being of the country. Because if we want our government to be reckless and irresponsible, the consequences of these things can be detrimental to the well-being of the country, including the very investments we are talking about being made both by the public and the private sectors.
The Finance Minister went further to say that his government will not consider any requests for VAT exemptions.
And I want to urge the government that it should not entertain any such requests of any further exemptions or even consider the removal of VAT at all. From where I stand as I sit as Minister of Finance, if we were to do any of these things, it would mean we would have to go back to a very stringent IMF program, make a series of cuts, and we would be hurting far more than we claim we are under the VAT regime.
The Prime Minister stated that many other countries are moving towards the value-added tax system because it is an equitable structure. According to the Finance Minister, to accommodate the value-added tax, many other levies have been eradicated so as to ease the burden on taxpayers.
We have removed a series of taxes on the books, from consumption tax to hotel occupancy tax to sales tax of 7.5%, and we introduced a value-added tax of 15% after widespread consultation spanning several years. There was a broad-based task force involving people from the private sector, from civil society, from government, and from NGOs, who formed part of the task force and engaged themselves in very critical and constructive discussions.
Honorable Skerritt noted that income tax has also been reduced.
Over the years, we have reduced on the income tax so that more of you, working class, working people in Dominica, would go home with, if not all of your salary, the most of it. And when I look at those of us who pay taxes in Dominica, not many of us pay much taxes. In large measure, a lot of people pay as low as $15 or $25 monthly on taxes.
Prime Minister Skerritt revealed that it may be pleasing to some to eliminate the tax, but that move is not in Dominica's best interest. Therefore, his government will not entertain the idea. The Prime Minister stated that VAT is the backbone of the state's revenue and government itself is not exempt. In other news, Parliamentary Representative for the Westerly constituency, Honourable Gloria Shillingford, opened the area's crime, violence and antisocial behaviour panel discussion with remarks on protecting the vulnerable of society. Honourable Shillingford is also Minister for Social Services, and she told the gathering that child abuse creates a generation with antisocial tendencies.
We have a generation of persons, and I always say some of them, even when we talk about crime, we talk about the abuse that is handed out to some of our young persons. And if we do not stop that abuse, that too will be losing a generation of persons. Because it is the same set of persons who are going to grow into men and women, but will not grow into well-rounded men and women if we continue to abuse them. And even the elderly too, in our communities, sometimes crimes are committed against them, and that really is a sin. Because we are supposed to look out for the vulnerable, the young, the elderly.
The other panelists for Wesley's discussion were Attorney General Levi Peter, Minister for National Security Honorable Charles Savre, and Acting Police Chief Daniel Carbon. In related news, Attorney General Levi Peter believes that seemingly small antisocial deeds add up to contribute to major criminal and violent acts. Speaking at Thursday's Crime and Violence panel discussion, Mr. Peter mentioned specifically that social graces are no longer prevalent in our civilization, making way for unsociable conduct.
That there are certain things that you should do and certain things you shouldn't do. And there are certain places that you do certain things and there are other places that you don't do them. We seem to be losing those simple, basic things. And I think these little things are contributing to the bigger crimes. When you have a society which people are growing up not recognizing that there are certain norms. So some things you do in certain places, certain things you say in certain places. What you might say with your friends, you wouldn't necessarily say in the midst of grown-ups, adults. Those things, we're losing them. And I think that those things are contributing to the incidents of crime that we're talking about. People do not just wake up one morning suddenly when they reach 21, 22, 23 and go out and commit those serious crimes. Those things are things that have been built up to over a period of time. And it's the small things that we sometimes turn a blind eye to that leads up to people believing that they can do what they want. Park wherever they want. Disregard the rules and the laws that say you cannot park in certain places, but people choose to ignore that. Once they start ignoring those small things and getting away with it, it's not too much of a long stop to them going on and taking liberties with bigger things.
Meanwhile, Minister for National Security Honorable Charles Savre strongly disagrees that unemployment and criminal behavior are closely related.
In some of the communities that we have held meetings, persons have said, well, the reason for crime and violence is because of unemployment. People haven't got jobs. Now, I don't know if you were listening or if you listened to the news, but this week in particular and last week, there were a number of reports in the news of persons working in various companies who have stolen from their employer hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now those persons are employed. In some cases, very good jobs, very well paid. And they are taking the opportunity of being employed to steal from the employer.
The minister recognizes that while unemployment exists on the island, this is a global issue since there are other countries faced with much higher rates.
Of course we have a problem of unemployment. Don't misunderstand me. And the question of unemployment is not just a local phenomenon. We watch the news, most of us have TVs. We watch what is happening in Spain, what is happening in Greece, what is happening in Portugal, what is happening in Italy. The United States has had 8% unemployment for 3 years now. Something like 20 million people unemployed, some of them with university degrees, college certificates, diplomas, and they cannot get jobs. Some of them, and in some of those countries, there are people with jobs, and because of the whole economic situation, they are losing their jobs. So there is an unemployment problem, there is an economic problem confronting the entire world.
Minister Savre made note of the severity of recent crimes, saying that they do not seem to reflect urgent employment needs.
If you listen to the news, the police intercepts 1,000,000 grams, how many? 100,000 grams of cocaine. 40,000 in another case, grams of cocaine. Now, we are talking about millions of dollars of crack cocaine that people are involved in trafficking and so on. What is the connection between that and jobs? Not having a job. You know, I mean, if a person doesn't have a job, he gets involved in multi-million-dollar trafficking in cocaine because he hasn't got a job.
The Minister for National Security, speaking to residents of Wesley, pointed out that many persons expend their energies pursuing illegitimate ways of surviving when they could, with the same effort, be upstanding citizens.
The police go into the heights of villages and root out thousands of plants of marijuana. If a person can go into the hills and plant 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 marijuana plants, why can't he plant 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 tomato plants? Or ginger, or carrots, or dasheen, or lettuce.
Residents of Wesley discussed social issues like socialization, parenting, and children's rights, among other issues of concern. And finally, parents of students beginning classes at the Dominica State College this September have been assured that they have made the right decision. President of the Dominica State College, Dr. Donald Peters, gave the assurance as he addressed a forum for parents on Thursday. Dr. Peters told the parents that the college has done well during the past 10 years.
We have graduated over 5,000 students in those years, and they're everywhere. They're at Columbia University, they're at the University of Florida, they're at the Metropolitan College in London, they're at Grambling State University, they're at Penn State University, they're at UNC, they're at the University of Minnesota, they're at the National Bank, they're at Princess Margaret Hospital, they're at the Dominica Police Force, they're at Auto Trade, you name it, our graduates are there. So the people who say college not nothing, tell them college is everything.
The DSC president also assured them that the approach adopted by the college is in keeping with international standards.
Your student needs 60 plus credits to graduate. One course is equal to 3 credits. Some science courses are equal to 4 credits, so do the math. So they might need about 30 credits or in a major, 15 credits in a major, which is the degree they're doing. And then we ensure that they're well-rounded students by offering them, if you're doing chemistry at college, you also have to do psych, sociology, history, so you become a well-rounded student. And that is the object. This is the international model that we use to educate your student. That's why when they leave us, they can just walk into any other university, contrary to what people say and contrary to what the opposition says, the competition says.
Dr. Peters advised parents that the college has a zero-tolerance attitude towards fights on the campus.
College students settle their differences by talking, by mediation. They do not fight. There's no reason to fight on my campus. And I will tell you this, that if your student fight on my campus, you'll have to bring the Pope because I'm throwing them out of school.
Right, go ahead.
There's no reason to fight on that campus. So this is a college, people need to know to discipline themselves, to handle issues and handle it like college students.
Director of Student Services Edgar Hunter told GIS News that Thursday's forum formed part of Orientation Week 2012.
The main activities today was a feature address by Miss Sylvia Guy. The main was a feature address by Miss Sylvia Guy on the role of parents in the students excelling at a tertiary institution. Also, we had Ms. Ashma McDougall speaking about the importance of the associate degree, and Mr. Joel Challenger speaking about giving the lecturer's perspective on the behavior and attitude of the students. But the highlight address was an address by Dr. Donald Peters, president of the Dominica State College.
Over 600 new students will begin college life on the 3 campuses of the Dominica State College in September. And that's the English segment of the news. We now join McPherson St. Luce for the Creole highlights.
Allô tout le monde, bienvenue à ces nouvelles en créole. Non, moi c'est McPherson St. Luce. Premièrement, le gouvernement Dominique a dépensé un lot d'argent à ce projet de l'eau tout en pays là. Parole celle-là sortie au ministère management de l'eau, Honorable Reginald Austri. Honorable Austri fait parole celle-là pendant la cérémonie pour te ouvrir facilité Monbros, plus bonnet semaine celle-là.
Moi pas qu'à projet ça là pas koyon. Ça moi me garder c'est ça nous déjà fait pour l'eau en depuis en 2 l'année qui passé. Et ça c'est que yon ce projet là nous qu'a fait. Et comme qu'a parlé nous un projet qui a Benz qui a coûté nous plus qui presque 4 millions de dollars. Nous avons fini Penville par exemple pour presque 3 millions de dollars. Et ça nous a déjà fait, pour l'année, nous avons déjà dépensé plus que 50 millions de dollars à ce projet. Et ça, c'est un temps là, il prend de l'argent, un temps là, tout le monde a helé, tout on l'a terre là, tout on l'a terre, mon problème de l'argent. Le gouvernement a still tapé l'argent pour aider la vie. Et ça, on est pour comprendre ce n'est pas un investissement qui est profit. Ce n'est pas un investissement qui amène profit. Quand on le monde pas mettre l'argent en gros, on le gouvernement avant pas te mettre l'argent en gros parce que pas de faire profit puisqu'on n'a pas parlé à présent d'avoir ce qu'on perdre l'argent, d'avoir ce qu'on pas faire l'argent. Mais nous quand gouvernement Labour Party nous quoi nous on doit pour nous faire la vie dominicaine plus confortable. Et ça c'est un social investment. Et ça c'est un investment là où pas taper l'argent vivre mais là où faire la vie plus douce. Et c'est ça qui a fait nous à Labour Party plaisir pour voir que les bagages mauvais nous ça mettre système en place pour faire certains qui dominicains vivent en meilleure la vie.
En d'autres nouvelles, le travail qui prend place bien formidable à ce chemin pour aller l'occasion touriste, l'escalier Tétien en pays Kalinago. Membre parlement Honorable Ashton Renault visité le projet là, semaine là.
C'est un chemin qui était là pour un moment présent, il était un petit footpath. Comité là, development comité là, a développé, il était excavé et puis picac c'est des bagages comme ça. Plus tard, en 10 l'année qui passait, il y a ouvert petit avait un bulldozer. So nous voyons c'est une nécessité pour nous faire un meilleur accès. So nous écrit un projet, de BNTF pour faire l'argent available pour nous faire chemin ça. So après ça nous avons chemin qui a coûté pour $75,000 ici dollars. Nous avons fini ça dans nous dit en 6 semaines. Nous avons fini en 6 semaines parce que c'est un projet là a dit contract là nous ba Alexandre Laron. So Alexandre Laron c'est un homme qui travaille sur chemin ça. Nous avons pile monde ici nous employés sur.
Gouvernement Dominique a fait parole qui est bien concerné comment drogue a bien détruit la société là. Parole celle-là sortie au Attorney General Honorable Levi Peter pendant consultation cabinet Tétien qui a concerné crime et violence en la pointe. Honorable Peter fait parole qui est à ses preuves qui a concerné sujet cela et puis nous pas supposé quitter ça passer comme ça. Attorney General Peter aussi fait parole qui monde qui a servi drogue pas qu'à faire une bonne contribution pour la société là. En même temps aussi, police qui a fait report qui utilise moins marijuana en circulation pays là et il faut détruire la place pour ça. Chef police Daniel Carbon fait parole qui programme pour éduquer les l'école contre drogue, c'est en l'autre manière faire une contribution contre danger de drogue. Et puis finalement, l'occasion vient moulin division culture, bien plaisir pour l'occasion qui a ouvert trainement en affaires art et puis culture. L'occasion celle-là qui commence à traîner moun en plusieurs aspects et puis si le chef officier culture Raymond Lawrence, l'occasion celle-là qui est ouverte en septembre en Bébonet. Lawrence aussi fait parole qui a déjà sélecté un monde pour en charge l'occasion celle-là.
Nous avons demandé Madame Murdoch pour assister nous avec Institut pour Art Saint-Dominique. C'est comme si c'est l'école pour fait moun apprendre différents aspects de art, si c'est danse, si c'est musique, si c'est peinture, si c'est Creole, yo ka parler. Nous, Madame Murdoch, pour assister nous. Et nous avons commencé en septembre avec ce programme. So, moun qui voulait participer, yo sa dit nous, yo sa contacté nous, et bien yo sa participer à ce programme.
Merci mesdames, ça c'est tout pour Nouvelle Creole pour à présent. Non, moi c'est McPherson, c'est Luce. Et un bon week-end. Au revoir.
Up next is the tip of the day.
Let your spirit take to flight. Let your heart run free and wild. Find your soul in Dominica, the nature isle.
Today's tip is about how you can persevere through your struggles. Picture the resolution. Visualizing yourself overcoming your challenge can provide you with a ray of sunshine while you're dealing with the storm. Avoid getting caught up in the struggle itself, or your mind will get used to a negative pattern of thinking. When you keep your mind on success, or at least getting through the current struggle, you can then make a clear plan to get you back on the road to achievement. And that's National Focus. As usual, we invite your suggestions or comments. Please feel free to drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm, or you can visit our website at news.gov.dm, or you could visit our GIS Dominica page on both YouTube and Facebook. On behalf of the entire news production team, I'm Pearl Fontaine. Thanks for watching and have a great weekend.
Find your soul